Hey guys, Rodin here. Today I have a bit of a different video planned. This is my Garden Warfare 2 love letter. Basically, I just want to talk about everything that I love about this game, everything that has made me cherish it throughout these years, and get sappy and emotional a little bit. Also, this is kind of just a retrospective for anybody who hasn't played the game or maybe wanted to get into it and just hear the experience of somebody who's played this game since day one. I've been playing Garden Warfare 2 since launch. It has been my ride or die game for 9 years now, and I have a lot to say about it. This video is going to be pretty long. There's going to be edits, but it's not going to be anything too fancy, except the intro bit that you just watched. That was probably fancy. I either put a lot of time into it or like a decent amount of time. There was time put into it. That's going to be like one of the fanciest edits in the video. Anyway, I just want to go over all of the things that this video will be about. I'll be talking about the maps and game modes first, and then I'll be moving on to characters, variants, and all the other culture stuff in a second section of the video that I have recorded here. This is just an intro bit, so let's get right into the video, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So, at the time of recording this, Garden Warfare 2 has 16 maps. So, the 16 maps in Garden Warfare 2 are as follows. Frontline Flats, Zombopolis, Zomburbia, Walnut Hills, Great White North, Z-Tech Factory, Aqua Center, Zen Peak, Frosty Creek, Boney Island, Sandy Sands, Moonbase Z, Lunar Landing, Coliseum, Seeds of Time, and the other Seeds of Time. That's quite a few maps, and that's not including Infinity Time as a completely separate game mode and the Backyard Battleground, so that would put it up to 18. Now, Garden Warfare 2's maps are very, very solid. I think there's only a few stinkers, and that would probably be Seeds of Time on Team Vanquish, and maybe Boney Island. I have a bone to pick with Boney Island, actually. Boney Island is not a fun map most of the time. It has this really big problem of having either completely obnoxious sightlines or a big bumming fest right in the middle. And Seeds of Time also has that same problem, where as soon as one team gets control of that middle point, it's over. That game is lost unless somehow you get some really good players on your team who can take back that middle area. But as soon as that middle area is taken on Seeds of Time, Team Vanquish, Gnome Bomb, Cerber Nation, whatever it is, it just becomes into a kill factory. That's basically it for that map. It's just a big bum fest in the middle point, and everybody tries to get there and hold it. Now, Boney Island kind of does have that same problem, but it's a little more spread out. It has that going for it. Then there's Z-Tech Factory. That is a very solid map. No complaints there. Aqua Center. That's a refurbished map from Garden Warfare 1. Got converted to like a sort of zombie-themed garden center. Very solid map too. Expertly designed. Zombopolis and Zomburbia were DLC maps, I believe. I believe they both were. One of them might have been... No, they're both DLC maps. Yeah, so both of these are DLC maps. Very, very good turf takeover maps. Zombies on defend, it works really well. Both of the final points are actually really fun. I do like the Zombot a lot more than I do like the whole ruining the graduation party bit at the end of the other map, but they're both pretty solid. Next is Walnut Hills. That is a Garden Warfare 1 map port, and shocker, it's really bad. It's actually probably the worst map in the game. And I'm actually looking at this tier list here, and it's in S tier for some reason. So whoever made this tier list, I don't like you. That's all I have to say. The next map is Great White North, which is peak cinema. Oh my gosh, I love this map. It is my favorite map in Garden Warfare 2. I want to have a baby with this map. So good. Should be at the top of S tier. It's not. It's at the bottom of S tier, but it is an S tier, so I will give it that for the tier list maker here. Lunar Landing, pretty decent map. The low gravity can get a bit annoying, and a lot of abilities don't work because you're floating around, so that can kind of ruin the experience of the map a bit. And nobody goes inside for some reason. Nobody goes to the non-low gravity bit, like ever, unless there's an objective there, so that's kind of annoying. Coliseum, S tier map, very good for 1v1s. If Garden Warfare 2 had any competitive scene ever, this would be the map that you would play on. This is such a good, balanced, well-rounded map that I love playing. Sandy Sands is like Coliseum, but bad. The weather events can be really annoying on the map, and you can't see anything. It's just random times. Sometimes it doesn't happen at all, and sometimes it'll be like half the match where it's just a sandstorm, and you can't see anything. So I don't really like that. And then we have Zen Peak, which is my second favorite map in the game. Very, very fun. I love the way it looks. I love the vibe of just like being up in the mountains and the cherry trees, and all of the architecture is so cool looking. Very, very solid map. I would put this in S tier too. And then we have Moonbase Z, which is the capture points map, or the turf takeover, I believe. And that is a really good map. Probably the least good turf takeover map, unfortunately, but all of the turf takeover maps are really good, including the Seeds of Time takeover map. Very good. They're all good, and we'll move on to Seeds of Time now, the turf takeover version. I think there's a few problems with it, but all of the map props are so funny. There's like these little wizards that just say stupid like tips or like fun facts about things that are just completely false or not real, and it's hilarious. I urge you, after you watch this video, to like boot up Garden Warfare 2 if you have it, and look around some of these maps, especially Seeds of Time, and there's just some stupid stuff. Moonbase Z is another good one. In the second point spawn room for plants, there's these little TVs, and you can like click them, and it just gives you stupid facts, like the moon's made out of 70% cheese or something. It's so dumb. And then the next map, Frontline Flats, that was another DLC map, added towards the end of the game's support cycle. That's a really good map. That's another solid map like Coliseum, where it's just completely balanced. Both sides have like the whole contrast, stalemate war thing going on, which I think is really cool. And overall, a really good map. And then we have Frosty Creek, I believe, for the last map on this list. And I like Frosty Creek. It's like a mini Great White North. I've had some really good Gnome Bomb games on Frosty Creek. I once had this Gnome Bomb game that lasted like 2 hours, and people were just fighting back and forth for the freaking gnome for like 2 hours straight, and I had to go to bed, but I just kept playing. It was so stupid. You would like get the gnome to the opposite team's place. Like, I think I was on zombies. I'd get it to the plants thing like a foot away, die, the plants would take it, bring it to the zombies point, they'd die, and it would just go back and forth for like 2 hours. That was the most ridiculous game of Garden Warfare 2 I've ever played. That was just insane, and I'm surprised, like, people stuck around for that whole thing, so that goes to show how intense some of these matches can be. But yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to say generally about the maps in Garden Warfare 2. Now I just want to move on to the game modes. Garden Warfare 2's game modes are really good. It has a very, very solid selection of game modes, and those game modes are as follows: Turf Takeover, Team Vanquish, Gnome Bomb, Suburbanation, and Vanquish Confirmed. Nobody plays Vanquish Confirmed. In fact, nobody plays Gnome Bomb or Suburbanation either, even though they are very solid game modes. Most people who play Garden Warfare 2, unfortunately, especially on PC, only play Team Vanquish or Turf Takeover or Mixed Mode. Mixed mode is probably the best thing to play in Garden Warfare 2 because it gives you access to other game modes that people don't normally play outside of mixed mode. It plays every single game mode in like a sort of playlist, and that way you can actually play everything without having to requeue, which is really nice. So first I want to talk about Turf Takeover. I think Turf Takeover is a really genius thing in like the Garden Warfare franchise in general, because it gives you that sort of like TF2 control point style game mode, but it's more linear. Like you're actually taking points to get to an objective and get to an end objective to actually like complete a mission. It's really creative and I like the way they did it. And I really, really like the mini games at the end of some of them. I will have to say that the best one is probably the Mega Flower game mode from Garden Warfare 1, just because how cool the Mega Flower looks. But this is a Garden Warfare 2 love letter, and if I had to pick one, I think it would be the Zombot game mode, where you have to deactivate a battery and just go ham on the Zombot while it's trying to like crush you. That is so cool, and I'm so glad they actually put the Zombot in the game. They put it in Z-Tech Factory too, but just having this objective where it's like an almost boss fight, like it's a mini boss fight, and the other team is basically the Zombot's minions, which I think is really cool. It's like he's summoning the zombies to go fight for him, which I think is awesome. That is my favorite Garden Warfare 2 minigame, and honestly, probably my third favorite map. If it's Great White North, Zen Peak, then it's this one right here, Zombopolis, I believe. Next game mode I want to talk about is Team Vanquish. Very, very simple. It is just a team deathmatch game mode. First team to 50 kills wins the whole thing. They get more coins and they win bragging rights, I guess. It's a decent game mode. I think it should be longer. I think it should go to like 100 kills. But with private servers on the way, that is definitely a possibility. I will be talking about that later on in the video, so just stay tuned for that. Next game mode, Gnome Bomb. Very fun. Unfortunately, you can only really play that in mixed mode nowadays. Even on console, I don't really think you can get a lobby for it. Not enough people solo queue for it. Gnome Bomb is a pretty simple premise where you just take this gnome that spawns at a random point on the map. You blow up the other team's 3 gardens or gravestones, and the first person to either blow them all up or have the most blown up at the end of a time period wins. It's fun. Gnome Bomb is really intense. Like I was talking about Frosty Creek, that Frosty Creek game earlier. That's about how half of all Gnome Bomb games go. It's either a complete sweep or it's just like this all-out stalemate for like 30 minutes straight, and it's so fun. And it's so satisfying finally getting to the end of the game and seeing the little cutscene of like the gnome going uh-oh and then exploding. That's really fun. And then we have Suburbanation, unfortunately another game mode that you can only really find in mixed mode. That's even deader on consoles. You're never finding a lobby of that on console. Very fun game mode. Kind of the same premise as Gnome Bomb, except instead of delivering a gnome to the points, you have to stand on them and capture them fully. And if you have control of all 3 points, you get coins. That's basically it. I think the coins is a pretty good feature. It actually gives you like an incentive to capture all of the points. So you get bonus coins instead of just like, I don't know, walking around and treating it like Team Vanquish, which is probably something that would happen if there wasn't that, I guess, financial incentive to actually win the game, which is nice. I'm glad they put that in there. But yeah, Suburbanation can be really fun. It's really just kind of like a more long, drawn-out Team Vanquish with a sort of side objective. Nobody really cares about winning in that one, and honestly, a lot of times, the ending just kind of sneaks up on you. It just ends all of a sudden a lot of times, which is fine. It's also kind of just like a team deathmatch game mode. That's how most people treat it. And then there's Vanquish Confirmed, which is just Team Vanquish, but you collect orbs to get the kill instead. That is the most dead game mode in the game, and you will only ever see that in mixed mode, along with the other 2 I just mentioned that are only there. It's kind of unfortunate, but I'd never go out of my way to play this one. It's kind of boring. It's just Team Vanquish with extra steps, and it usually lasts 5 or 10 minutes longer, which is nice, I guess. If you're looking to level up XP, it's nice. Yeah, and that's all the maps and game modes and my opinions on them. Very solid selection all around. There's only a few stinkers, and I do think that they leaned a little bit too heavy into the sort of theme park aesthetic, like Seeds of Time. Oh, it gets split into like 4 different maps, and then we just use that for every single game mode. I think Garden Warfare 1 was a little bit more creative, but I do like that they tried, and I do like that they had this aesthetic that they wanted to go for, and they went with it for the most part. And it's not like every single map is this theme park aesthetic. It's only the ones that are based off of Seeds of Time. And even then, like the Team Vanquish maps that are based off of Seeds of Time, they actually do look like it's part of that time period. There's not like a lot of like fake looking props around. So it is pretty nice. But I will leave this section on one thing. Walnut Hills, you suck, and Driftwood Shores should have been put in your place any day of the week. So much more fun. In the section where you get to launch yourself to the Mega Flower Island, why is that not in Garden Warfare 2? That is so fun, and I'm probably about to go play Garden Warfare 1 and just daydream about how that should be added to Garden Warfare 2. I know I'm bashing Garden Warfare 2 a lot, but like, oh, it would have been so nice if that got added. It's just unfortunate though. But the next section, we're going to move over to characters, general game culture, YouTubers, all that kind of thing. And I guess I'll see you there. Next up, I want to talk about something that Garden Warfare 2 does really, really well, and that is the characters. The characters in Garden Warfare 2 are so dorky and stupid, and that just makes them lovable. I know that's like a little cringe, like, oh, they're so lovable, but they really are. They even make the perfect plushies. Like, go look up a Super Brains plushie. It's just so stupid. The Garden Warfare 2 characters are just these like quirky, stupid, like little things, and I just want plushies lined up on my wall of every Garden Warfare 2 character. And I would have them if they weren't expensive, because for some reason plushies are expensive these days. The one thing I do want to touch on though about these characters that Garden Warfare does so well, like not even just going over the fact that they made pretty balanced classes that are fun to play, is the variant system. The variant system, in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinions, is what makes Garden Warfare Garden Warfare. Without the variant system, I honestly don't think the game would be nearly as fun to play, and I don't think there would be nearly as many players playing the game today, like more specifically Garden Warfare 2. And you know, we kind of have proof for that, because look what happened with Battle for Neighborville. If anybody watching this happens to not know what Battle for Neighborville is, it was a Garden Warfare 2 sort of sequel, but it was different. They ended up scrapping the Garden Warfare 2 title because they thought the gameplay was too different, and it was. It was a really different experience, but if you go look at their player numbers now, it's not nearly as many as there are actively playing Garden Warfare 2. And I think the reason that Battle for Neighborville lost a lot of its player base and it didn't stick around as much is because of the removal of the variant system. For those who are not educated, every character in Garden Warfare 2, except Hovergoat and Torchwood, because they're special bonus characters, have variants added to them. So, for example, the peashooter. You have the regular old peashooter, but then you can, through sticker packs, unlock stickers, and once you get 5 stickers of a character, they get put together and you unlock a new character. So say peashooter, he has fire peashooter, ice peashooter, electro peashooter. There's a toxic peashooter, an agent peashooter who only shoots like a sort of almost hit scan bullet instead of the regular splash P. Or a rock P who has more health than the average peashooter, but he moves slower and does a little bit less damage. So you have like all of these variants that have little trade-offs from the base character, but they don't go too far away for where the gameplay is completely different. And that just creates so much replayability, and I think that's honestly the reason why people are still playing Garden Warfare 2 today, is that replayability aspect. Battle for Neighborville replaced Garden Warfare 2's genius variant system that has almost been seen nowhere else today with a cruddy point system, a sort of perk system where you choose little tiny things that have vestiges of the old variant system, but you just pluck a little bit of it and put it onto your character. For example, the All-Star character is just the All-Star in that game, but you can add a perk that makes him run as fast as the old Tennis Star from the last game. But he's not Tennis Star, he's not using Tennis Star's weapon, he doesn't have Tennis Star's overheat time or his damage numbers. No, you just run a little bit faster. And replacing that removed a lot of the replayability that was so present in those last games. and it's really quite unfortunate. Now, Battle for Neighborville isn't a bad game, but it has a lot of flaws, and it doesn't have the replayability that Garden Warfare 2 does have, and that is why I believe nobody plays it, and that's why Garden Warfare 2 is a game that is completely still alive today. People say, oh, Garden Warfare 2 is a dead game. Nobody plays Garden Warfare 2. It's a dead game. Garden Warfare 2 is not a dead game. It may look dead on the outside, but the community is very much alive. There are new content creators popping up constantly. I see live streams of people playing Garden Warfare 2 that reach sometimes the 100 active viewer count, which is kind of ridiculous for a 9-year-old game going on 10. Now, to extend on the whole variance discussion, the gunplay in Garden Warfare 2, I guess if you can even call it gunplay, because a lot of half the characters shoot out of their mouths. But yes, the gunplay in Garden Warfare 2 is surprisingly smooth for a game that is literally a vegetable shooter. Like, you were literally playing as vegetables or zombies half of the time, or fruits. Like, it's so mind-boggling that this game that's like completely marketed towards kids is almost like this Call of Duty alternative for people who can't play Call of Duty. And that's kind of the reason I got it, right? Like, I couldn't play Call of Duty as a kid, so... Oh, Dad, get me Garden Warfare 2. It was the first ever shooter game I got, so... I don't know if that's why it stuck with me or not, but... I don't know. For a lot of people, it was a sort of shooter replacement because it was more marketed towards kids. But it has surprisingly good gunplay, and there's a lot of tech in this game that makes it, like, quite competitive, even though there is no competitive mode in the game. Which is kind of weird. Like, you wouldn't think of Garden Warfare 2 as being a competitive game, but just like other games like TF2, TF2 has a ton of cool, quirky, unique tech that is completely almost inherent to that game itself, or I guess the source engine. So yeah, CS2 or Half-Life, like, they share a similar engine, so those games do function a bit similar, but TF2 has its own unique take on the source engine. Getting a bit sidetracked, Garden Warfare 2 has a ton of character quirks and movement tech, and like the whole idea of like memorizing damage numbers and like what characters are good for certain situations and when to use certain variants. I am surprised that Garden Warfare 2 does not have an active competitive scene, even just a little bit, because I get like it's wrapped up in this whole like, oh, it's just like a kid's quirky little casual shooter game. And it is for the most part just a casual shooter game. And I think that's also one of the reasons why it's lasted so long, because there's no toxic fan base or anything where people take the game too seriously. But I do think the game would benefit from some sort of competitive bracket. I don't know how that would work. There are private play servers in development, and I think it would be cool if we could do something similar to, say, what TF2 did, where they did a 6v6 mode. That's their competitive main mode, where there's 6 players in each team instead of 12, and they just compete over an objective. I think that sort of thing could actually be emulated in Garden Warfare 2 pretty well with these new private servers, making a smaller server size, bringing back game modes like Soil Survivors that we have just sorely missed. I cannot remember the last time we had a Town Hall game mode that wasn't either character jumble, some Legends of the Brawl where you just get to choose your legendary, or like just some other gimmick that's adjacent to that, like slightly different, maybe Taco Bandits, which is fun, but it's not really, it's very mindless. Taco Bandits in Garden Warfare 2 is very mindless, especially on the Backyard Battleground, where it's just like this equal, even map. It's like Capture the Flag in TF2, which I use a lot of TF2 examples, but I do play a lot of TF2, and I think, like, drawing from my own experience with that game, there's a lot of things in Garden Warfare 2 that are very similar, and I think it kind of deserves to be compared, because at the end of the day, it's a class-based shooter. TF2's a class-based shooter. They both have wacky, unique characters, and this whole, like, universe around them. TF2 and Garden Warfare 2 are a lot more similar than you may think, but they are also very different, like the way the games function. Just the sort of general setup. Garden Warfare 2 gets a lot of its, I guess, flavor from TF2, which there's nothing wrong with that. TF2 is a really good game to copy, and I think that's kind of the reason that we haven't had another game like TF2 or Garden Warfare 2 in almost, like 18 years now? Because TF2 has perfected the formula so well that everyone else is just like, okay, let's copy their homework instead of putting the time in to make a actual good game that plays well. Let's just become the next TF2. We'll just become TF2 with a fresh coat of paint and then hope that everybody leaves TF2 and comes to them, which that works for a time. Say Marvel Rivals, very popular game right now. Everybody goes to that, but at the end of the day, everybody comes back to what they like. And Garden Warfare 2 has that same kind of effect. Garden Warfare 2 is a timeless classic. No matter what new game comes out, maybe I'll play it for a bit. Maybe it's a sort of class-based shooter with a fresh coat of paint, like a TF2 or Garden Warfare 2 sort of quote-unquote clone. It looks good. It's a fresh coat of paint. Windows is telling me to restart. Not now. Please, I'm recording. Garden Warfare 2 is a timeless classic. So when these games with these fresh coats of paint come out and I go to play them for a bit, I enjoy them. It's like, oh, it's this new experience. But at the end of the day, I don't stay with these games because they don't have this fun factor built into them that Garden Warfare 2 has. Garden Warfare 2 has this fun factor built into it that I hardly have the words to explain, if I'm going to be honest. It's this like whimsical charm and like the map details and the way like the characters move and the way that they're like super detailed and like just like stupid looking, like the way that all the maps are set up and all the little inside jokes that almost nobody would get scattered across the map, like the puns. Like if you look at Seeds of Time, that is the perfect example of the whole like PVZ franchise humor. Just go through the map Seeds of Time, the turf takeover map specifically, and just look at all the stupid little puns and jokes they have everywhere. It's so stupid, and some of them are actually pretty funny. I think most games now, they obviously focus more on churning a profit out, and that's kind of why they fail horrifically, because they just focus on, we gotta get this done, we gotta get this done, we gotta get this done, okay, boom, release. PopCap had a decent amount of time to work on Garden Warfare 2. Not as much as they should have had. From what I heard, Garden Warfare 2 was actually not even supposed to exist. Garden Warfare 2 was supposed to be Garden Warfare 1.5 almost. It was supposed to be a Garden Warfare 1 sort of expansion where they'd add these new classes, these new characters, and new maps, and Garden Warfare 1 was supposed to be the live service game, but EA pushed PopCap to go ahead and release a sequel because the first one did so popular. This is just something I heard through the grapevine. Other YouTubers have talked about this before, so I'm not going to drone in on about that. But yes, back to the topic. Other games have these characters as well that they make, but they just, like I said, they just rush them out. They're not like endearing. Like look at Concord. Like look at Concord's characters. They're just stupid. They're all, but not in like the charming way, just like in the noise kind of way. You know, they just make noise. They just talk. They just do this and that just because they have to. Like they were animated that way. You know what I mean? Like they were just created to just like fill a void. Like, oh, this game needs characters. Here we go. Generic character A, B, and C. Garden Warfare doesn't do that. Like you have a character that is a superhero, but he's a zombie and he's an idiot. And he's just like full of himself. You have a character that's an engineer and his butt crack's always showing and he rides around with his jackhammer and he's got a sexy ass. Like Garden Warfare 2 just has the stupidest, most like almost unappealing characters. Like the zombies are gross. I feel like people kind of overlook that. Like if you actually look at the details, like they're gross looking. They don't have noses. There's holes in their face. Like most of them are like fat and some of their skin is falling off. And then the plants are much better. They have like these like black like beady eyes that just like creep you out. The characters aren't meant to be like these perfectly polished like pieces of art that are just like plain and bland. They have like depth to them and they're like imperfect and they have flaws. And not in like the character sense of like how they're written, because it's a Garden Warfare game. It's a PVZ game. Nobody cares how they're written. They're just stupid, right? I mean in the way that they're designed and the way they look. Because new games now, they focus a lot on making everything perfect and polished because they have the tools for it. And I think that's the reason why older games like Garden Warfare 2 and TF2 have like this appeal, because it's not polished. And that's what makes it fun. The stupid glitches that are in the game are what make it fun. The stupid, like, out-of-map glitches and the character movement tech would all be patched out in these newer games. All of these newer games, say like rocket jumping in TF2, or beam gliding in Garden Warfare 2. I'll use the beam gliding example because obviously we're talking about Garden Warfare 2, and I've brought TF2 up a lot in this video. Beam jumping in Garden Warfare 2 is when you are using peashooter, you activate your hyper, and you jump and throw your chili beam bomb out at around the same time, and because the chili beam bomb has a hitbox, it launches you across the map. And it is super fun, but it is very, very difficult to learn. But if you actually learn how to do that, you can either dive bomb people with it or get to capture points faster. It is tech that is actually applicable and useful and fun and rewarding to learn and master. In BFN, guess what they did? They made the chili beam bomb have no hitbox, and they made hyper have a stupid hover ability. The same thing that they do in like a game like Overwatch, where they make every single cool tech that could be a thing into just a button that you push. There's no learning, there's no mastery, it's just button push, thing happen. There's no intuitive like learning to like feel where to put your fingers at the right times and like feeling rewarded because you learned a new thing. No, just push the button and then you go fly. Like what? That's so boring. I don't want my movement tech to be just like press button 3 to dash. No, I want to do like movement tech. Like I'm gonna put a clip on the screen right now if I remember. This is me gliding across the map at Mach 10 with super brains. And then this is another clip of me gliding across the map at Mach 10 with peashooter. That looks fun! The slippery, stupid ice physics that launch you across the map at Mach 10, that you could also do in a multiplayer match, by the way. This is done in the Backyard Battleground. Looks fun. It's hard to master to an extent. The beam gliding's a bit harder than the movement speed ghosting thing that I'm doing with super brains, but it's fun. Now, take another game like, I don't know, Valorant. You just click a button. I'll put a clip up if I can find one. You just click a button and then the ability comes out and it just happens. There's no interaction. There's no, like, you actually inputting the ability to happen, if that makes sense. Like, I'm actually moving around and looking around and doing specific things to make the beam glide work. I didn't just press button 3 and get launched across the map at Mach 10. It's rewarding to master. New games now don't have any rewarding to master mechanics because they polish them all out. And that's just another reason why Garden Warfare 2 stays winning. The character systems, the stupid bugs and glitches. Like, I remember watching YouTubers like BobBox999, YouTuber, by the way. He still uploads. His glitch content was the thing back in the day. He still makes some stuff every once in a while, but like, I remember there's a Citron glitch where you can go to the soccer field in the Backyard Battleground and you put the ball in the corner and then you turn into the ball as Citron and you fall through the map and it crashes your game. No other games have something stupid like that, and of course it's not useful in any way, but it's fun. It's another quirk. And these little quirks in games people don't realize are what keep them alive longer. And I think that's maybe why, I'm just now having this thought, like, maybe that's why indie games do so good. They have all these little quirks and these stupid things that keep people interested longer. All of these AAA games don't have little quirks in them. That's all polished out. No rough edges. It's like the lack of creativity and their ability to polish everything perfectly makes the game stale and boring. And to be honest, I was going to go further in this video to talk about how this game survived so long, but I really talked about it already. The game is focused on a fun-first type of environment. The game isn't crowded with microtransactions. For an EA game, that is impressive. There is 2 pay-to-win characters in the game, one of which is a character that you shouldn't even really get in the first place. Unicorn Chomper had Twilight Chomper made. Unicorn Chomper was a Garden Warfare 1 reward that you got for being rank 313, which is the max rank in Garden Warfare 1. And if you imported your characters in from your old account, they would give it to you if you had that. You can't get this character regardless now, unless you're on PC and modded in. But now in Garden Warfare 2, they added a character, Twilight Chomper, who's supposed to be somewhat similar to Unicorn Chomper. It's a bit different. He's a bit better, but they put him in as a sort of compensation for the people who couldn't get Unicorn Chopper. I think that was a mistake, but whatever. I mean, it's one of the 2 pay-to-win characters in the game. A second one is Z7 Imp. Anybody who's played Garden Warfare 2 for like 3 multiplayer matches has encountered a Z7 Imp and have probably gotten railed by one. He's the most overpowered character in the game, bar none. Very disgusting. Actually, probably only tied with Agent P. Agent P is probably the best character in the game. It's like, he's so busted. Go play a round of Agent P, and if you have Z7, play with him too. They're both so busted. It's like an instant win for any 1v1. It's so ridiculous. But yeah, that is why I believe that the game has survived for so long. They focused on fun first, and they just didn't crowd it with microtransactions. Now, I kind of want to just close this video out talking about Garden Warfare 2's sort of legacy and some sort of upcoming things with it, because the game hasn't been updated since 2019, so that's about 6 years now. It lost its support in 2019 after Battle for Neighborville was just shadow launched out of nowhere. And since then, there hasn't been much to come out of it. Like, we haven't had a single update, so it's all community driven, obviously. The one thing that we can look forward to is another YouTuber or some sort of Discord member of like Frostbite modding, just the modding engine for the game, is working on private servers. They're very slow coming along with it, but they probably have a small team. They're probably trying to polish it so it's good for people to use in the public and it works well. There's probably kinks to iron out. But private servers are going to allow you to play mods online with friends, and there'll be like some sort of auto install feature. It'll actually be fair instead of just like skids hacking, you know what I mean? So that is one thing that we can look forward to, all of the possibilities with private servers. I would join the Frostbite modding Discord server if you want to hear more about that. I will leave a link down in the description if I remember. I hope I do. Jeez, you can harass me in the comments if I don't. But yeah, that'll be down there. If there's any other things to look forward to, they would probably be collabs. There's a lot of collabs going on with this game. With smaller creators, sometimes the bigger creators get together. Daggy usually hosts these collabs. I believe he's in the Frostbite modding server, but I could be wrong. You could just look up his channel, DEGGY. He does collabs every once in a while, so those are cool to watch, seeing all these big and small YouTubers get together and like appreciate the game for what it is. If I want to leave this video off on anything, I just want to glaze the backyard one more time. The fact that there is no main menu for the game is unbelievable. I don't think people understand how much of a gaming innovation that is, because no other game has that. Like, actually, go and try to find another game that has no main menu for loading in. You won't find one. Like, Minecraft doesn't count. There's still a main menu. Yeah, sure, you can get in quick. Fortnite doesn't count, even though the characters are standing there all cool. I can't think of another game that doesn't have a main menu that, like, the physical 3D space is the main menu. That just blows my mind. I don't know how nobody else has picked up on it, but it's so cool. It gets you playing longer and invested in the game more. The fact that there's decorations around the backyard that you can do. You can customize it. There's quests to do. It's so cool. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. But yeah, I do want to close out this video now. It is getting ridiculously long. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a bad editing thing for me. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a lot to edit. So if you enjoyed this, I guess subscribe. I hate asking, but I want to see the number go up. I really like seeing the number go up. Look forward to possibly more videos like this in the future. I finally started fixing my audio setup. I don't know if the second half of the video sounded any better than the first one. It probably did, but I have sound panels surrounding my computer now that are hopefully taking some of the echoes down. But yeah, that is going to conclude it for this video. I just glazed Garden Warfare 2 for like 20 to 30 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys later. Join the Discord server down below, and bye-bye. Rodent idle animations. It's so stupid.